Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for today's presentation. As we let people join, I'll go ahead and do some quick introductions and then show you all where you can learn more about JointFlash on Acelab. So my name's Kayla. I'm part of
Did Kayla freeze up on you too?
Yeah, Kayla's frozen.
That's okay. I can take it from here as well. So we are part of the Acelab team, and I can also show you where to find JointFlash. It might just take me a minute to pull it up. Give me one sec here. One second. Sorry, you guys. I did not have it pulled up, but I'll do that in just a second here. You can also do this at the end. And if you want to start the webinar, Tyler, I can pull up your guys' page on Acelab on Acelab.
Yeah, that's fine. We can start now, and you can pull up that, get it ready, and show everyone at the end.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, so I will start sharing my screen with you guys right now. We can jump into this. So my name's Tyler. I am the owner of Evergreen Wholesale, and we manufacture a couple different siding accessory products. It's called JointFlash and AmeriBlock. I'm going to go over both of those today and talk about how they can help you guys out from an architect's perspective and how they can be useful and beneficial in your guys' projects. So the first one I'm going to talk about is JointFlash. We have been manufacturing and selling this product for over a decade. So it was 2013 when my dad formed this company, and he owns a siding installation company and was looking for a way to improve the flashing system for open-ended lap siding. And he came up with this product and then started selling it to other installers, and then eventually other dealers, and then eventually distributors. And then I bought out the company from him a couple of years ago after working for him, and here we are today. We sell our product through distribution in over 20 different states and are looking to expand our presence to make this available to all of you by the end of the year. So that's just a little bit about us. About the product, JointFlash is a form of junction flashing made entirely from carbon black high density polyethylene, aka plastic. So it's a black plastic product. It's super simple and super straightforward, which is great because there's really no reason to overcomplicate the product here for really a very simple installation. So the benefits of JointFlash, we'll cover them real quick and then get into some specifics here. The main benefit is it meets all of the manufacturer best practices, which we'll get into in an additional slide. Other benefits are that it's safe, economical, efficient, and easy to install, and corrosion resistance. So just to touch a few of those, when you say safe, people are like, well, how's a flashing safe? I used to work on the job site, and it maybe seems like, oh, you're not going to get hurt from a flashing. But if somebody's using a metal flashing and they're up on scaffolding and, a full bundle of metal flashing that weighs, 15 to 18 pounds is to fall off the scaffolding, or individual pieces, fall out of a box, those are sharp, and I've seen people get hurt from those. Ours are plastic. A whole bundle weighs 3 pounds instead of 15 pounds, and if one falls off, it kind of flutters to the ground instead of being a flying ninja star that can hurt someone below your scaffolding. So it is safe from both a angle of falling off scaffolding, and also if you've got people cutting up an alternative product like a trim coil, you know, cutting up metal with hand shears it opens up the opportunity for someone to get cut on the job as opposed to getting a pre-cut plastic product like this. So a lot of people, again, they wonder how's it safe, but it reduces the chance of job site injury. Economical, we've got some case studies later on that we can touch on this one that could be relevant from an architect's perspective and how you can help out your clients. Obviously, it depends on who the decision maker is and who is responsible for paying for the product, for how relevant this is. But when it comes to a pre-cut junction flashing for the butt joints of flat siding, there isn't a more affordable option out there than joint flash. So there's some other pre-cut options that work, but they definitely cost more than joint flash. Where we can't compete is if you've got someone not putting anything in, then it obviously doesn't cost anything. Or if they're just cutting up job site scrap, whether it's tar paper or whatever weather barrier they're using, we can't really compete with somebody using their leftover garbage for this application. But if someone's going to go out and buy a product designed for this application, JointFlash is the most affordable economic option. Efficient and easy installation. We can cover this actually in one of the next slides for the installation process. And then corrosion resistance. If we're based out in Southwest Washington, a lot of our initial customers were on the Pacific coast, the Oregon and Washington coast, where there's marine environments with a lot of wind-driven rain, wind-driven salt water coming right off the ocean. People building houses right on the coastline. They were having issues of using metal that would eventually rust and have corrosion marks dripping down from the butt joints. So using a plastic product like this, it just eliminates one more potential issue down the road. If you've got marine environments or any type of environment that would, encourage rust or corrosion. So the installation process, like I said on the previous slide, it's efficient and easy installation. So you can see it's 3 steps here. This is really basic for anybody who installs siding on a normal basis. They don't even need these installation instructions. They already know what's going on here. But you install the first pieces of lap siding without nailing the end near the butt joint. Just leave that nail out. After working the steps up the wall, tuck the piece of JointFlash behind the loose end of the previously installed siding. That's the middle picture there. Make sure the JointFlash is centered on the joint and overlapping the course below by at least 1 inch, as that's what manufacturers recommend. And then step 3, install the remaining piece of siding to finish out the course. Nail the last nail at the butt joint as usual. Nails at the end of the pieces of the joint will hold JointFlash securely in place. So there's no additional nailing needed. There's no additional adhesives needed, no additional brackets or H-mold or anything like that. Like I said before, this is a really simple product. We're trying to dummy proof this step of the siding installation process and not overcomplicate it. So we're providing a solution here where really the installer, if they're doing their job, they can't mess this up. The piece of flashing that they're installing here meets all the manufacturer specifications. They're already putting this nail in. As long as they can put this piece of flashing where it's supposed to go and get a nail on each end of it, it's a bulletproof system where we actually have never had a warranty or callback issue in the 13 years that we've been selling this product. There's never been one issue. The only issue that's ever come up one time was traced to the nail did not get put close enough into the end of the board. So one of those nails missed the flashing. So then it kind of slid out and it was falling out of that joint because it kind of rotated because it was being held by one nail. So as long as both those nails get put in there, this is a bulletproof system. This plastic is super, super durable. You can put a nail into it on the wall and you can tug on that piece of flashing. And I mean, I guess depends on how much you weigh. I'm not going to say it can hold your body weight, but that plastic it's pretty durable. It's almost impossible to just tear it with your hands. So from an architect's perspective, meeting manufacturer recommendations is probably the most relevant and the most important thing for you guys to be aware of, and the biggest, I guess, advantage that you can offer to your clients. Whether it's any fiber cement brand, whether it's Hardy, which is, I've got their installation guidelines here on the left, Allura, Nichiha, they're all very similar. They might have slightly different verbiage, but they're all essentially requiring the same thing when it comes to putting a butt joint flashing back here. They've got, I don't know if you guys are familiar with these guidelines, but there's usually a couple different options. Like looking at Hardy's here, they recommend either a joint flashing, an H joiner, or a caulking, but they really don't. They're not a huge fan of caulking. They list it as an acceptable option, but if you were to talk to Hardy or talk to a Hardy rep, that's not going to be their first choice. There's a reason why joint flashing is listed as option A. It's because it's their preferred method. So, and then on the right here, we've got LP's installation guidelines. They require a slightly smaller width flashing. So we've got different sizes of flashing we've got 4 different size products to really accommodate all of the major siding manufacturers. So we've got a 4-inch wide product for LP, and then we've got several 6-inch wide sizes for any of the fiber cement manufacturers, because they all recommend a 6-inch wide product. So again, the biggest advantage for you guys is knowing that, when you spec this out on a job, you're not going to have issues of an installer miscutting a product instead of cutting at 6 inches wide. If an installer cuts at 5.5 inches wide and the installation goes on, and then there's a potential issue down the road, and they come out for a warranty inspection and they find that that's 5.5 inches wide instead of 6 inches wide. Well, even if that's not truly the cause of a leak point, they may void warranty because it doesn't actually meet their specs. So by using joint flashing, we're meeting all the manufacturer guidelines and eliminating that as a potential concern from an architect's perspective, from a builder's perspective, from a contractor's perspective. There's a lot of people who it's in their best interest that the manufacturer guidelines are being followed, but that obviously comes down to the installer in the field. And that's not always the top priority for somebody doing an installation. If you've got somebody making minimum wage out there, hanging siding, or they're the one cutting, they're handed a roll of roofing foam and they're saying cut these at 6 inches wide, it may not be a huge point of concern for them if they accidentally cut it at 5 inches wide. But you as an architect, you can spec this out. You can know, okay, they're using a product that meets all the manufacturing. So that's really it for JointFlash. Like I said, this is a super simplistic product, and we can get into some case studies at the end. We can get into any specific questions that you guys might have about this. Happy to answer any of those, but that's the overall rundown on JointFlash. The other product that I mentioned at the beginning of the slideshow that we manufacture is AmeriBlock. Again, so our company name, Evergreen Wholesale. We've got 2 products, JointFlash and AmeriBlock. And AmeriBlock is a full line of either redwood or PVC mounting blocks for any exterior wall penetration. So whether that's a light block, a exterior hose bib, a water faucet, a dryer vent, a exterior outlet, and then we just have generic mounting blocks for we've had people mount ring cameras, security cameras, anywhere where you're looking to have a more waterproof transition, where you are screwing something into the siding or having something come out through your siding, where you can have a block behind it. It's going to make it more waterproof, depending on what exactly you're doing, and just have more quality control over it. So benefits of AmeriBlock, we're not necessarily meeting a manufacturer spec like we are with JointFlash, but it does encourage better building practices, the quality control from a builder or contractor perspective, where we've got a lot of, or not we, but there are a lot of people, installers, making these types of blocks all over the country on the job site. So instead of somebody taking a random type of wood and cutting a random size block out of it and having open frayed ends and throwing that on the wall, we're producing a block here made out of quality D-grade redwood, which is, or PVC, which is going to be able to withstand any demands and effects of the environment. Most of our blocks come out pre-primed, so they're going to hold paint better. The only ones that we don't are, we've got several markets where raw cedar siding is being installed and they don't want to prime block, they want to leave it raw. So we absolutely can do that too. But 90% of the products that we send out are pre-primed, so they're holding paint better, and it's made out of a quality material that the builder is happy with. And then the efficiency of, same thing with JointFlash. You don't have somebody cutting products on the job. So we're able to provide a product that they can grab a block out of a box, go mount it on the wall, instead of having to, fabricate their own block on the job. And then the consistency, we're putting out a product that's a consistent size. It's got a consistent routed edge, decorative edge that looks very nice. So it's providing a product that is, if you've got a light block on each side of a garage door or something like that, it would be nice if those light blocks can match. And it seems like maybe like, well, okay, if an installer is fabricating them on the job site themselves, they're going to make them match, and that's not always the case. I've seen, on one side of the garage door and compared to the other, a light block be, an inch different. And you're not going to get that with a AmeriBlock because we're putting out a consistent block. It's all CNC precision. We've got it's all automated manufacturing with then additional quality control as they're coming off of the CNC machine to make sure that everything's up to spec. So a lot of, I guess, quality control and consistency would be the big advantages here. So some case studies just to kind of apply some of these advantages to some real life scenarios. The first one we'll touch on is for JointFlash. This was for Lennar Homes in Colorado a few years ago. They, at the time, were switching over to Hardy, and Hardy, Hardy was trying to get them to switch to convert to using all Hardy lap. And part of that conversion was they had been using a joint cover from a different manufacturer. They were not happy with the aesthetics and they were looking to change that. Lennar was. So when Hardy was pitching, the conversion from the previous siding manufacturer over to Hardy, they were able to solve that issue for Lennar by including JointFlash as the spec'd out product for all of their Hardy installs. So they were able to replace those joint covers, which just didn't look good from the street view, replace them with JointFlash, which is completely hidden behind that butt joint. And at the same time, they were able to save about $20 per house. Which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're Lennar and you're building, 2,000 homes a year in Colorado, times 20, that adds up. Every dollar to the bottom line matters, and especially now as building costs are continuing to get higher and higher. If there's ways that builders are able to save a few bucks here and there while staying with a quality product or really even improving their installation methods, that's something that they're usually interested in. So we were able to save two problems there for Lennar by saving them some money and improving on their aesthetic. Another one is for JointFlash. There was a installer in Texas doing a multifamily project. He was not familiar with the Hardy installation guidelines. That wasn't the brand of siding that he normally installed, but for this project, that's what he was. That's what the GC was wanting to use. So he came in, and I think it was one of his first Hardy installs on a fairly big job. He got halfway through the project, unfortunately, and was called out for not using any sort of JointFlash chain. So he wasn't just not using our product; he was using nothing. So those butt joints, those open joints, were just being slapped together. There was no caulk, there was nothing back there, and it was just really totally missed when reading the installation guidelines. So he found our product and reached out to us. We were able to help him out. Unfortunately, he had to, tear off a substantial amount of siding and start from scratch. But we offered him a solution that he was happy with, the GC was happy with, the owner of the project was happy with, and it could have saved him a huge headache if he would have been aware of it from the beginning, or if it would have been spec'd out on the job, and he would have known, okay, I'm going to use this product that the architect's telling me to use. I mean, he could have saved himself thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So there, being able to recommend a product in the specs is very helpful, because a lot of times these installers, frequently they are well versed with whatever brand of siding they're putting on, in this case Hardy, but a lot of times they're actually not. So they might be used to installing LP or whatever type of siding, and then they win a project and they're learning on the fly. So if there's a flashing that's already spec'd out, it can just eliminate, one potential speed bump for them and help them out in their installation. So another case study would be for JointFlash in North Carolina. This was not really a lack of knowledge, as in the previous case study, but this was just inconsistent installation by the actual installers out on the job site. So there was a large installer who's now a great customer of ours in many different markets in North and South Carolina. But they were having some issues with their on-site crews not cutting their flashing products to the right size. So they were using trim coil, so they get a whole roll of coil out, manually cutting a metal flashing, and like we talked about earlier, it's supposed to be 6 inches. They weren't getting a 6-inch wide product. It was taking quite a long time to have a guy just sit there and cut up flashing all day. So we were able to, provide JointFlash where it meets all the manufacturer specs. It saved them a lot of time on the job. It actually was a cost savings for them, because our pre-cut flashing was actually less than what they were paying for the roll of trim coil that they had to pay somebody to cut up. So it was just a win-win-win across the board for that installer. It's caught on with their other branches, and it's just been a great partnership for both of us. Now a case study for a Ameriblock. So we're based in Southwest Washington. Like I said earlier, there's a large lumber yard out here that services a lot of the national builders. We're talking Lennar, D.R. Horton, all the big guys. And they had a previous supplier for their blocks, which it is an industry standard out here to use some sort of blocking. And we're the main supplier for most dealers in the area. But this dealer was actually sourcing from somebody else, and they were having some quality control issues. Lower quality wood. This wood was splitting, having some open knots on the edges, and just an overall quality issue. The blocks weren't primed, so they weren't holding paint as well. So when we were able to get our products on their shelves, we were able to really help out these national builders by giving them a block that was pre-primed, made out of a higher quality wood. It's going to have longer durability, and it may not have seemed like a pressing issue at the time, but it's just one less thing for the builder to have to really air quality product with quality control of it. So that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully those real life examples are, can kind of, I guess, help everything kind of click into place and see how our products could be advantageous for you guys to spec out. So the way to reach out to us on the Acelab platform, and it looks like Kayla's back on now, so she's going to show you where you can find us there. And then this is our direct contact information as well, if for any reason you guys would need to reach out to us directly, but absolutely can funnel most things through Acelab, I believe. And that's all I have. So I'm going to stop my screen share here. Kayla will take over, and any questions you have, I believe she'll share with me.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Tyler. Yes, sorry I got interrupted before, but I just wanted to show everyone on Acelab when you log in, as I showed before, you get taken to the home page. You can use the search bar up here to search for any specific product or manufacturer. So in this case, we're looking at JointFlash. When you get to their page, you'll see here some more information, and then you've got Tyler's contact here. And you've also got their products here. So if you'd like to save any of these to your firm library for future reference, you can do that by clicking here. And you can also get more product details in that page as well. And then, yeah, that's about it. So thank you, everyone. I do want to read out a couple of questions that came in. So let's see here. All right. So, what is the minimum and maximum joint width that this product can effectively bridge?
Trying to understand that question. Joint width. So I guess from as long as manufacturer specs are being followed, trying to answer this question the right way. With LP, they would recommend a 3/16 gap because there's going to be some natural expansion after the install, and our product works great there. Hardy would be installed with minimal contact, not leaving that 3/16 gap, and our product works great there. So really, I guess any width would work for I believe any width for any siding install. Our product it's went through UV testing, so it's 30-year UV rated. The only reason it's not longer than 30-year UV rated is that's the test we got done and it passed with flying colors. Looking back, we should have went through a 50-year test just because that would match LP's warranty. And we may do that again at some point in the future, but UV exposure should really not be an issue. But if for whatever reason, if it was used behind like a LP install and it was, they left a 1/2 inch gap there instead of a 3/16 gap, and then this flashing was exposed, that obviously is not ideal. That's not what LP wants. The flashing's not supposed to be visible. But if that were to happen and there was an installation error, you could know that this has went through temperature testing and moisture testing and UV testing, where although it doesn't have the best aesthetic, it is going to do the job and keep water. So I think really any gapping is fine. It's obviously ideally from an aesthetic standpoint, the manufacturer guidelines would be followed.
Okay, perfect. I think that was helpful. Next question is, what's your lead time for custom sizing?
We have not had to do custom sizing. Honestly, we have 4 different sizes, and they should cover everything out there. For custom sizing, I can't imagine a scenario where we would need that, but I'd be happy to discuss that. And if we weren't covering something, because we have a 6x8, a 6x9 1/4, which covers both the Hardy and some plank versions, and then we've got a 6x12. So really, unless you were doing something that had greater than a 12-inch exposure, we would be able to provide, really a product that would be what you need out of our stock. And those ship next day. Where we have got some pretty quick lead times, depending on where you're at. Transit can take anywhere from a day to a week and a half, depending on where you are in the country. But if you truly did need a custom cut, I would say add a week to that timeline. We get everything sheared here locally, so it's pretty quick. Depending on the quantity you need, we could even have it next day. If it was a large multifamily project, it could take up to an additional week to get, but still very, very quick. We're talking, 1 to 2 weeks.
Yes, that's great. Perfect. And a few more. Somebody wants to know if you can share the PowerPoint presentation. Would you be willing to do that?
To like email it over or to post it somewhere, or yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Perfect. Anybody, you'll get the information of the folks who would like that, so you can share that with them. And they're also asking for a recording. That'll be on our website within a few days, the recording of this presentation. And then somebody else is asking, they can't find the AmeriBlock website. Can you drop the link for that in the chat? Do you have that, Tyler?
It said coming soon, so we are a little bit of background there. I actually bought out AmeriBlock, and it wasn't branded as AmeriBlock when I bought it. So it was owned by a previous company. It was a mom and pop operation. They had been providing these blocks for over 30 years. But they were completely unbranded and really fragmented. So this is a newer product for us. We've been selling it for over a year now, but we're still right now in the middle of getting our marketing stuff together. So if we had this webinar a week from now, I think I would be able to share that. But we are it's right on the cusp. So it's not there right now, but we can probably keep you in the loop for those people who are interested. Whether it's me or Kayla or whoever, Elisa can send out a message. Once that website is live, we can let you guys know and you can go check it out.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have for today. Is there anything else you wanted to mention, Tyler?
I think we covered most things, but yeah, any questions you guys have, whether it's from a pricing or availability or lead time, or some technical data sheets or anything you guys need, I'm happy to provide.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for a great presentation. And again, everyone, if you want to learn more, go check out JointFlash on Acelab. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tyler. Bye.
Bye.